What is up, Dragon's Brain here. So today we are going to be reacting to There Is Something in the Blizzard. Yesterday I was going to react to this, so today I am. If you guys haven't seen the other reactions of Creepypasta I did, I'll link the playlist right up here, somewhere around here. You guys could go check it out and see all the reactions I have done. It's a legit full-blown playlist, and it's awesome. If you guys want me to react to any more, let me know down in the comments of what creepypasta I'm reacting to. Also, subscribe if you're new, turn on notifications, as well as that bell button, because you never know what episode or creepypasta I'll be reacting to. But yeah, let's get into this one. This one is 11 minutes long. This is gonna be a really good one. I want to see what's in store for this one. Bam!
I grew up in a small city in the northern United States.
Same here.
Growing up in such a rural part of the country certainly made for an interesting childhood. I often spent my youth outdoors, walking along dirt roads and playing in the woods near our house. Those memories I have from my childhood must have made an impression on me.
Yeah.
As once I was old enough to move out of my family's house, I decided to get a place of my very own, in this very town. All of my friends whom I grew up with moved away from the town for college or job opportunities elsewhere. I, on the other hand, had gotten a job working in a small department store in the center of our city. I started working there during high school, and after a few years had worked myself up to management.
That's kind of like what I had in store. Back in high school, I used to have a job too, but I only worked there for like 2 months and I ended up quitting because it was like every Sunday and I had to go to school on Monday, so I just didn't want to go to school the next day, be fucking exhausted as hell. I'm not going to say the name of the place because, well, privacy reasons, but it was a bitch, so.
Working through high school gave me an opportunity to save up enough money to buy a house in town.
Which is good.
The selection of homes wasn't that fast, as not many people were in the market to sell. However, there were a couple that were well within my budget. After getting approved, I began my life as a home-owning member of society. One of the major cons to living up north is the weather. The unpredictable weather was a constant, especially in the colder months.
Yep.
I'm sure some of you who happen to live in the north would agree that the weather is terrible.
Yeah.
One minute it would be clear sunny skies, then the next is like a typhoon had settled on top of us. Over the years, I've seen
there is also something I wanted to talk about. The weather here we get here, it's not that bad, but sometimes can be ridiculous. One time we actually had a major hailstorm. The hail was the size of golf balls. It was ridiculous. Also, during the winter months, we had 2 feet of snow when I was young. 2 feet! That was ridiculous. And imagine going to school in that type of weather. You can kiss my ass. I'm staying home. I'm not going out there in the cold weather.
My fair share of bad weather, but this year had been particularly brutal for our area.
Oh, sorry.
It started in early October, the first signs of what was to come. I had awoken one morning to find that the ground was lightly covered by a stark white blanket of snow. Even though it was quite early for snow, it wasn't unexpected.
Yeah.
The temperature had been dropping consistently throughout September, so I assumed it was only a matter of time.
Before we get to the negative.
As the days passed by, the snow became heavier and heavier. It seemed like every day, another inch was added to the already growing mountain of snow that covered the city.
Jesus Christ.
Halfway through November, it happened. Our town was utterly encapsulated by the icy grips of Mother Nature.
Holy crap.
Luckily, I had the foresight to stock up on supplies in the event of being snowed in. I had awoken one morning about a week ago. The dull gray sky almost convinced me that night hadn't quite left yet, but my clock, which read 9 a.m., begged to differ.
Oh, Jesus.
I walked over to my bedroom window, which lightly rattled against the wailing gusts of wind outside. I found myself silently thanking that window for keeping the frigid air away from me.
Yeah.
As I peeled back the curtain and tried my best to look outside, I found it nearly impossible. The snow was
Holy
already
crap.
covering the lower half of the window itself.
Huh.
The rest of the glass was frosted over, which made seeing through difficult.
Yikes.
The flurry of crystallized water seemed to swirl in a violent torrent outside. I tightened my robe around me and instinctively rubbed my arms.
That's not like
I wasn't
buddy.
cold at that moment, but just seeing the outside was enough to send shivers throughout my body.
Yep.
As I got ready for the day, I called my boss and told him about my situation. He expressed that the majority of the people in town were having the same issue. He said, unfortunately, that work would be closed until the weather improved. I couldn't help but grin at the word unfortunate. He then said he'd contact me once the weather had cleared up.
I don't think it's gonna.
Before I could hang up, my phone crackled a bit and the call had been dropped, probably due to the bad weather outside.
Yeah.
I made a
Bad
pot of
weather.
coffee and stared out of my large window in the living room. Despite the hours passing by, the weather was relentless.
Is this like Hurricane
It was almost
Milton?
as if our town had angered nature in some way. As I stared through the glass, absent-mindedly in awe of such a spectacle, I thought I saw something in the blizzard. It was only for a brief moment,
I saw that.
but it had been consumed by the wall of snow. I thought it might have been an animal, searching for shelter to wait out the storm. Just the thought of being outside in this weather was disheartening.
No.
The day went on, and I spent most of my time doing chores I had been neglecting up until I had nothing else to do.
Yep, same here.
Then, once most of my house had been cleaned, I began watching some of my favorite movies to pass the time. I'd occasionally get up and give a passing glance to the window to see if there had been any break in the storm.
Nope.
There hadn't been. So with a sigh, I'd grab a snack and resume my movie marathon.
Yep. Some popcorn.
That night, I found little rest as the wind outside produced a constant high-pitched shriek. It sounded like a banshee wailing outside my window.
Yeah.
Despite the noise, I managed to drown it out with a pillow pressed tightly over my ears. The next morning was just as gloomy as the last. The sun was once again nowhere to be found, giving off this joyless atmosphere. The winds raged outside, and I was no longer in awe of nature. I was now just...
Holy crap. Okay, is this snowstorm like really that bad? It's just like Hurricane Milton, but snow. Holy crap, I feel so bad for this guy.
praying for its end.
Yeah.
I made my way out into my kitchen and made a cup of coffee. As I sipped, I looked towards my window again. The snow had risen another couple of inches. I could feel myself growing more and more worried. In all my years living in this town, there hadn't been a blizzard as bad as this before. Watching the swirling haze outside was mesmerizing. As I stared, a break occurred in the snowfall, and for a second, I thought I saw someone standing outside in the snow.
I see it.
It looked almost like that figure I saw before. It was just a gray silhouette, being buffeted by the snow around it.
Oh boy.
As quickly as it had appeared, it vanished, consumed by the weather outside.
Yikes.
I thought my eyes were still in the process of waking up, as the thought of someone simply standing outside in that weather wasn't likely. I tried to forget about what I thought I saw, and went on with my day. That night, as I was lying in bed trying to fall asleep, I heard a noise coming from my living room. At first I wasn't sure, but then it sounded again. It sounded like knocking on my front door. That was impossible, I thought. There was no way someone would be outside in this.
Yeah.
I glanced over at my clock. 11 p.m. and dull red numbers glowed back at me. I sat up in bed, wondering if I would hear the noise again. 3 more thumps echoed from my living room, down my hallway, and into my bedroom. I could feel unease growing in the pit of my stomach. I got out of bed, put on my robe, and stepped out into my living room. I tried to explain the sounds I had heard as something being battered against my door by the wind, but something inside me knew that wasn't the case.
Nope.
I walked over to my door and tried to peek through the 3 glass windows that were set above it. Looking around, all I could see was a mix of black and white.
Yeah.
There was no indication of anyone outside my door. Feeling a bit of relief, I thought my previous assumption had been confirmed.
Yep.
Just as I was making my way back to bed, I heard another knock, but this time it didn't come from my front door. The familiar sound of something hitting glass was apparent.
Oh no.
I slowly turned towards my large glass window in the living room. Between the lightless sky and the frosted glass, it was difficult to see anything outside. I found myself being slowly drawn to it, curious as to see what was now hitting my window.
Curious, as always.
I was within 5 feet from the glass. I squinted but was unable to see anything of note. I could feel a sigh on the verge of leaving my lungs when a hand pressed against the glass. This bluish-white hand that struck the glass made me yelp as I took a step back. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Someone was standing outside my window, in this blizzard.
Yeah.
Unsurprisingly, my first instinct was that someone was in desperate need of help. Being stuck out in this weather would surely be a death sentence. I was about to turn and make my way to my door to see if I could aid them, but before I did, I saw something else. A face seemed to fade into view, like stepping into a light from the shadows. It was nearly pressed against the glass. It didn't seem possible. The chalky skin contrasted against the dark background. Bits of its face seemed to be rotting away. Blackened streaks of torn flesh that seemed reminiscent of frostbite. Half of its lower jaw was exposed. The bones seemed to be encased in frosted blood.
I don't know what this is called.
What was disturbing me the most was that, overall, its expression seemed calm, like it was someone just patiently waiting.
Yikes.
But its eyes, they betrayed the rest of its demeanor. Its eyes were filled with rage, jealousy, and pain.
Is that like a
It
winter
stared
girl
at
or
me with
something?
unflinching precision, like it wanted nothing more than to see me dead.
Yikes.
Then, after a few painstaking seconds of staring, the face faded from view, and another moment later,
Good luck sleeping tonight.
the hand did as well. Despite its sudden departure, I know that it hasn't gone far.
Nope.
It's still out there, searching for a way to get inside, searching for a way to get to me. It's been a few days since seeing that thing outside. I have taken some measures in securing my home. I've barricaded my doors and windows as best I can.
Yikes.
I've tried contacting the police, but the bad weather outside made service non-existent.
Yikes.
It's not as if they could even get to me if I could call them.
I don't
Every
think
night it seems there's a new knock on a different window or door in my house, as if that thing is testing my home to find a way inside.
God, better not be.
I'm just praying this storm lets up soon. Because if it doesn't, and whatever that thing is breaks inside, I won't have anywhere else
To go.
to run.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay. That one was a freaking good one. Holy crap. Wow, that was just... that was intense. The bad weather outside, that's kind of like Milton. But, whew. Yeah, that's not a horror one out in the books. Wow, that was just intense. I don't know. I don't even know what the hell that thing is. It has to be like a Wendigo or something. Like, god damn. But yeah. I hope you all do enjoy this episode. If you all do, please leave a like. If you do, subscribe. Let's get to 500 subscribers. And if you want more content, go to the Boys' channels. Mel Rhino, Rusty Fuse, and Sparks Unlimited. All 3 channels are in the link in the description. And I'm Red Mason. Sign out. Peace, dragons.